Hello to all astrology enthusiasts. In this video, I want to discuss one of the important astrological events at the beginning of July, which will start gaining strength already at the end of June 2025. And this astrological event is the conjunction aspect of the planet Venus with the planet Uranus in the zodiac sign of Taurus. And on the day when Venus will already be moving into the zodiac sign of Gemini, which is a significant astrological event, it will also have time to form a close conjunction with Uranus. And the exact conjunction will occur at precisely 1526 in the 29th to 30th degrees of the sign Taurus, near the very end of this zodiac sign. And I should note that we will already start to feel the energy of this conjunction by the evening of June 29th. The aspect will completely dissipate by the night of July 8th. Thus, the energy of this conjunction will be active in our lives for about 10 days. And in this video, I want to discuss the characteristics of this aspect, the specifics of this conjunction, and in which areas of life it might play out for each of the 12 zodiac signs. So what is this energy about, and what are the particular features of this energy, specifically in the context of the conjunction aspect of Venus with Uranus in Taurus, especially in the final degrees? A very unusual and explosive mix of energies. Venus in Taurus embodies stability, sensuality, and an attachment to comfort and pleasure. We have already discussed its characteristics in additional videos on the channel. You can definitely go back and watch those. And the planet Uranus is the planet of surprises and unpredictability. It is the planet of freedom, innovation, and sudden, very abrupt and rapid changes. And these two energies come together in a conjunction aspect. They meet in the same zodiac sign, and even in the final degrees of that sign, which is highly symbolic and very faithful. And with this aspect, we get a wave of renewal in the sphere of romantic relationships, marriage, finances, personal values, matters of beauty, creativity, and aesthetics. What is familiar to us gradually begins to surprise us. And in doing so, it breaks through all boundaries. That is to say, such a truly powerful and transformative stream of energy enters our lives here that Venus, which usually seeks stability, comfort, and the enjoyment of earthly pleasures, is met by Uranus, who brings a sudden spark of spontaneity, innovation, and liberation. It unexpectedly disrupts the usual rhythms of our lives, and this aspect calls us to simply step out of our comfort zone, open ourselves to new opportunities, not be afraid to experiment, not be afraid to change what is familiar, and to welcome something bright, fresh, and truly new into our lives. How will this energy manifest itself on 3 levels in our lives? On the mental, emotional, and physical levels. First of all, on the mental level, our thoughts and ideas will become unconventional, very creative, and at times even rebellious. That is, we might suddenly feel the urge to completely reconsider our views on money, relationships, beauty, and pleasure, to let go of some outdated patterns, and to discover entirely new concepts, approaches, and ways of experiencing simple joy. Here, unexpected insights and revelations are possible, specifically regarding personal values, which make us completely rethink our life priorities. On the emotional level, this aspect can play out in extremely vivid colors with unexpected intense waves of emotion, up to and including emotional shakeups. That is, you might suddenly feel the urge to change something in a relationship, to experiment, to unexpectedly confess your feelings, or on the contrary, to break off the relationship. This is a time when boredom and routine, those things just aren't relevant here. The heart longs for freedom, novelty, unpredictability, and experimentation. And at the same time, there's a desire to preserve that warmth, that sense of security, yes, according to Venus. And naturally, this aspect can also create an inner conflict on the emotional level. If we're talking about the physical level, our body will crave new sensations, new experiences, changes in lifestyle, diet, appearance, and sex life. There may be a strong desire here to completely overhaul your wardrobe, change your hairstyle, or start engaging in some unusual sports or activities. Venus in Taurus, after all, loves tactile pleasures, things like massage, delicious food, and comfort. But Uranus brings an element of surprise here, an element of novelty. On the positive side, this aspect can inspire us to experiment in love and relationships and to revive our feelings, and it gives us the opportunity to find some unconventional solutions, specifically to financial and material issues. Here, there may be very risky moves, for example, in finances, but they are highly promising and could lead to significant financial results in the future. Creative potential is heightened here and new ideas emerge. An unconventional approach is especially evident in beauty, style, and creativity. And here, what happens is a breakthrough of some long-standing blocks and fears. There's an opportunity to let go of what is holding us back in life. If we talk about the negative manifestations of this aspect's energy, then of course there can be sharp, unexpected quarrels and conflicts in relationships, caused specifically by a desire for freedom and change. There is also an increased tendency toward impulsive spending and financial risks without proper analysis. And of course, this can have a negative effect. There is a sense of inner discomfort between the desire for stability and at the same time the need for novelty. In other words, this is a negative manifestation of the energy. There can be sudden mood swings. There may be emotional instability. Sleep disturbances are possible, as well as harmful experiments with the body. And all of this can have an impact specifically on health. Of course, I also want to look at the symbolism of the degrees in which this aspect occurs. And here it is important to note that these are the final degrees of Taurus. Let me say right away that this is what is called an energetic degree. This is always a very energetically charged, concluding and pivotal point in our lives. Here, the culmination of some life cycle may occur, the completion of a life cycle, and we may receive a very powerful lesson in life, a very profound realization that is directly connected to this zodiac sign. The energy of the sign is at its absolute peak when it's in these final degrees. It's as if the energy has already become overripe. In other words, it demands a transition, it demands a resolution, it requires a powerful push. And this is always a moment when we face a crisis of choice. And to be continued. These degrees are also called the degrees of fate. That is, it's the point where you need to make an important decision. Whether we want to or not, we have to take this final step. We have to pass a test of maturity, so to speak, specifically in the themes of the zodiac sign. And at this point, that's it. There's no more time left for deliberation because the situation already demands action. And of course, this can cause a certain energetic instability. That is, considering that the energy is in the final degree, it's as if it starts to tremble, as if it's already leaving it, has built up so much, and is now departing while the new energy of the next zodiac sign hasn't yet kicked in. And this moment of inner tension, of changeability, this feeling of instability is somewhat similar to, well, energetically it resembles either an opposition or a square aspect. But at the same time, it is still a conjunction. And what's important to understand is that aspects in these degrees generally trigger fateful events in our lives, especially if they affect personal planets. If the aspect, for example, is to a natal point in the final degrees, this also indicates fateful lessons specifically related to the themes of the planet and the area of life represented by the house. And then there's the degree symbol. The 30th degree of Taurus is depicted as a peacock strolling along the terrace of an old castle. A very interesting image. The main key to interpreting it here is that inherited gifts are being put on display. But let's dig deeper and look at the essence of the symbol, the potential of this energy. The image speaks of pride in one's gifts and achievements. The peacock is not just a symbol of a beautiful bird. It represents someone who knows their own worth, who can present themselves without shyness about their brilliance, status, talent, or wealth. And the castle terrace is a symbol of a stage where something inherited is being showcased. That is, it could be lineage, power, talent, beauty, certain knowledge, style, or traditions. So what does this symbol signal to us then? It's time to speak up and show yourself to the world, to step out of the shadows and shine with your beauty, creativity, skills, or personal resources. Here you need to demonstrate your uniqueness and your strengths, and not from a place of pride, but from a conscious position of recognizing your own value. And it's also important to understand here that there is direct support from our lineage or our past, coming from our past. In other words, we are not talented by chance. Behind us stands a very powerful line of experience, a strong force of family history, and spiritual efforts. Now the time has come to show all of this to the world, to declare to the world the presence of such abilities. And in general, the key energy of this degree is that self-affirmation happens through the expression of both inner and outer gifts. In other words, we are a continuation of something greater. And now the moment is coming when we can and must boldly and confidently declare ourselves. And when Venus conjuncts Uranus at this degree, what does that mean? What is happening here? This is simply an explosive awakening of individuality, especially in the realms of love, beauty, money, style, and creativity. Uranus brings to this the usual Taurian stability, but also suddenness, freedom, a kind of genius, and even some shocks and liberation. And Venus here is simply telling us, she's shouting, stop hiding your gifts. It's time to show them. Of course, such a conjunction simply creates moments of truth in our lives. When we remember who we are, what we are rich in, and begin to express it in a new way, boldly, freely, unconventionally. On a mental level, a very powerful idea may arise about how to present yourself, how to showcase your skills, to create your own personal style or product that stands out from the rest. Or there may be a surge of powerful inspiration here. Moreover, it will come very suddenly. A new project, a blog idea, maybe some collections, launches of collections, brands, presentations, or art objects. The main idea, the main slogan here is that I am unique and I don't have to fit into any mold. If we're talking about the emotional level, there's a strong desire here to break free from oppression, from boredom, from suppressing your feelings. There could be a falling in love with an unusual person or a surge of emotions toward your partner. For example, if there were feelings that were previously hidden, now they will come out into the open. Here, there is an absolute readiness to show your true desires, especially if they were previously suppressed for the sake of being proper. If we're talking about the physical level, this is where an external transformation takes place, a change of image, as I mentioned, a change in style. Even the style of your home might change. There could be a powerful, unexpected financial gain or some kind of expenditure, especially on something unique, stylish, or valuable. This could be jewelry, art, branded items, or some kind of luxury, expensive things. There may also be sudden events in love, a burst of passion, a meeting with someone who turns out to be faithful in our lives. Of course, there could also be an unexpected breakup, liberation from relationships that no longer nourish us. Nevertheless, to put it very simply, this is a moment when we are handed the microphone, the stage, the spotlight, and told, show us who you are. You are visible. Shine with what is truly valuable within you. And this can happen very unexpectedly. This is the moment when you shouldn't be modest. You need to embrace your personal power, accept your beauty and status, and use them with dignity and inspiration. I wish for you to make the most of the energy of this aspect for your own benefit. And in the next video, we'll discuss in which houses of the horoscope this conjunction will occur for each of the 12 zodiac signs and how it might possibly play out in your life. I'll be glad to read your comments and real life situations. Let me know what happens for you during this aspect. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video. See you soon.